Hello, naturopathic Dr. Ellie Klein here, and this is a brief follow-up to my last video about the current coronavirus, with answers to some questions, and I also want to update my view on one of the things that I said. One of the common questions that I received was how much vitamin D was too much, and indeed I did not qualify that. Partially because I don't want to come across as providing treatment. I'm not giving treatment here, uh, but I'd like to provide some kind of perspective on this. So I believe I mentioned that the upper limit in Canada for over-the-counter supplements is 1,000 international units. The perspective that I want to give is that in the spring and summertime, when we don't really get a whole lot of colds and flus, a single exposure to the sun for a period of 20 minutes to half an hour can result in the production of tens of thousands of international units on subsequent days. Granted, you don't wash the exposed areas to soap, with soap, because vitamin D is oily in nature, and soap can remove it. But regardless, if you would just wash the arms and legs with water for a few days, you produce that much vitamin D. Now, I know a lot of people take several thousands of international units of vitamin D. And again, I can't tell you how much you take, and I don't think it's a whole lot clear how much is too much. Uh, I can tell you that I personally am sticking to about 1,000 to 2,000 international units, and not even every single day. So hopefully that gives you some answers, or it's a perspective, not a clear answer still, but a perspective. And the reason being, again, it's that too much vitamin D and too much vitamin A as well uh, can increase the production of the ACE2 protein, which the virus uses to dock onto and to enter the host cell. Uh, and of course, vitamin A was suggested that the amount of vitamin A is kept to less than 3,000 international units by Dr. Chris Masterjohn, PhD, whose paper I shared in the last video. As far as the other important nutrient for the immune system, vitamin C, Dr. Chris Masterjohn, PhD, suggested that we limit intake to a few hundreds of milligrams of vitamin C a day, because it wasn't clear whether vitamin C increases or decreases the production of interferons, substances that the immune system produces to fight viruses. And because of the behavior of this particular virus turning interference against ourselves, perhaps it would be not prudent to use too much vitamin C, which made sense. But at the same time, it has come to light, at least I found out a few things. It's been in the news that in New York, hospitals recently, doctors have been utilizing high dose vitamin C based on reports from China and based on an established protocol in Shanghai city, or the province of Shanghai, to use vitamin C in treatment of this virus based on successful cases. So it seems that high dose vitamin C, where they use about 1.5 grams every few hours intravenously, has been successful at helping some people with the disease. So perhaps it is okay to use a high dose of vitamin C, maybe not as high as they're using right now in the hospitals for treatment. For the purpose of prevention, that is, you may not need to use such a high amount of vitamin C. But nonetheless, certainly there has been evidence from the past about its use in general for viral respiratory infections in substantial amounts, substantial dosages. As far as there was also a question related to oregano oil and to propolis, very common botanicals or extracts of botanicals that a lot of people use to help with viral and bacterial respiratory infections. From the research that I did, it seems that oregano has not been tested on the SARS-CoV-2 virus, neither on the SARS-CoV virus that caused the SARS outbreak in the early 2000s. And again, those two viruses are very similar, 87% similar, and are closely resemble each other much more than the other coronaviruses out there. Propolis, similar argument to vitamin C, but we know that propolis can increase the production of interferons. And so on that basis, would it make sense to be cautious? Perhaps. So there is certainly no clear evidence that neither one of these would be beneficial for this particular virus. There was another question related to whether the virus sticks onto fruits and vegetables, which I guess comes from the idea that eating fruits and vegetables is healthy for us. They provide a lot of nutrients, including vitamin C and flavonoids, quercetin, which is another compound that has been shown to help with the SARS virus, the SARS-CoV virus. And so, are we at risk for contracting the virus if we eat if we eat fruits and vegetables? Does it stick to them? And so if you wash them with soap, then you don't have to worry, because soap basically disintegrates the virus altogether. Also, there is this perception that I might as well speak to briefly. There's this perception the virus is like a bacteria, it's a living entity, and it's not a living entity. It's basically a bunch of RNA and DNA that are enveloped, that are surrounded by an envelope of either lipid material or a material consisting out of hydrocarbons and protein. In this particular case, it's a lipid material, and it cannot reproduce itself unless it is able to penetrate into a cell, whether human or an animal or bacteria cell, and then use the genetic material of the cell. Then it can replicate itself. So on its own, it cannot replicate itself. So it's not really a living entity. And there was a question about whether dairy can increase mucus and potentially increase infectiousness, and I really cannot speak to that. I haven't found clear evidence that it does or it doesn't. There are studies that show that dairy increases mucus, others that show that dairy doesn't increase mucus. I know a lot of people from their own experiences notice that dairy does increase mucus in their throat or nasal passages, but I can't speak to the infectiousness of this. These are the things I just wanted to basically bring to light. And the other thing that I came across today was a paper from Louisiana University that I'm going to write about, but basically the idea that anybody who's taking medications that blood pressure medications, or people with high blood pressure, or kidney disease, or diabetics, will take medications that belong to the class of medications of angiotensin receptor blockers. Angiotensin receptor blockers, or ACE inhibitors, who contract the disease might be at greater risk because these medications increase the expression of the protein that allows the virus to enter the cells. So if we take such medications, like losartan, for example, which is an ACE inhibitor, then speak perhaps to your doctor about changing your medication, or consider a natural alternatives which are abound to manage blood pressure or kidney function or any of these things. Hopefully this has been helpful. Thank you for watching.